So a couple days ago, Johnny Dibble uploaded a video called "Why Aren't Bands Using Bass Players Anymore?" that sparked this broader conversation about what the future of bass players is. And based on a lot of the things that he's seeing and talking about are probably cause for alarm for a lot of people who are musicians, because bass players are getting replaced and you're not even seeing them on stages anymore. And I've been stewing over this for a couple of days, and I've had a lot of thoughts about it. And ultimately, I just have to say, I don't feel threatened by any of this at all. So a lot of the gigs that I'm doing are very unlikely to replace the bass player or me specifically, largely because they're pretty low-paying gigs and it would just not be cost-effective to do that. I guess first I should tell you the kinds of stuff that I'm doing right now. So most of my gigs are just stuff around town with either like bar bands playing covers or doing stuff for weddings. And then occasionally I'll do like fill-in stuff for original artists. All of these are like what I might consider lower tier gigs. Like they're not as high paying or high stakes as a lot of the stuff that is getting, that is replacing bass players. So for example, a touring band might see the need economically to cut out a member so that they have more money to go around. And that makes total sense to me, but that's not currently what I'm doing. There is one project that I'm in where that might be feasible. I'll talk about that later. I think a lot of the gigs that are replacing bass players or relegating them to the backing track are touring acts, and also studio work. I don't see a whole lot of studio work going around lately because, as Johnny points out, there are some really sophisticated plugins. There are ways to emulate bass players in the studio so that you don't even need the guy to play it. You just program it in there, or you can have somebody record a bass part and then you just put that in the backing track. And when you're a touring band and you're trying to put out a very consistent show and performance night to night, eliminating that variability from your show and then not having to pay that person, it doesn't detract from your show in a big way. Like, obviously, this matters a lot to us as bass players because we want to see the instrument being played. But the thing is that musicians are a tiny fraction of people who enjoy music. I've shared this statistic before, but Fender did a study where they found that 90% of people give up within their first year after buying their first guitar and bass. And the number of people who actually stick it out past that first year and become somewhat proficient and have this, love for music is even a smaller fraction than that 10%. So there just aren't that many of us to really advocate for those positions, right? But that means that your audience for music is not musicians, and they don't care if they don't see a bass player, because the bass player, as evidenced by the number of people who are getting rid of them, are replaceable. Like, If your bass player is not bringing enough to the stage to keep them around, then maybe you're not being a very good bass player. And not in terms of like making the right kinds of wiggly air. Like that's not even the question here, because the thing that's going to keep you relevant is not how well you play. It's a combination of how well you play plus how good is your performance. What's your stage presence like? Are you a charismatic performer? Would people miss you if you were gone? If you answer no to those questions, then yeah, you deserve to be in the backing track. But if you are able to make yourself irreplaceable, then you will never have to worry about that. And maybe you don't bring a unique flavor to the live show. There are a lot of other ways to contribute. So for example, I have an all-original rock opera called Deep Love, and it is a 90-minute show that we've been doing for a while, and it's kind of on rails. Like the set list never changes because it's the story told through song. It's just like a musical, but there's a rock band, right? And it's more like a rock show than like a musical kind of a thing, right? So at the bare bones, what you could do is just set the singers out there with a backing track, and you would get kind of the same thing. But the reason why the band is up on stage is because the band is part of the show. We've ingrained ourselves so much into it that taking the band out of it would just undermine the entire product. But as the bass player specifically, I've made myself hard to replace because I'm not just playing bass. I'm adding to the show in a lot of other ways. I'm making a lot of the video content. I'm also the music director, so I'm the person organizing rehearsals, making musical decisions, keeping people on track on stage through like a talkback mic. Like if you got rid of me out of that show, which is something that very easily could go to, having a backing track, something we've talked about, it would be hard to replace me as the bass player because I'm not just contributing bass to the show. I'm contributing a whole lot of other stuff. So if you're watching this conversation and thinking like, oh crap, why would I even continue to practice bass or play bass because I'm just going to get replaced. The thing is if you are good at what you do and you add more than just bass to the performance, to the production, to the band, then you're going to be a lot harder to get rid of. Like, become invaluable through whatever skills necessary. Learn how to edit video or take on more responsibility within the band. For example, in my cover band, we there's a lot of opportunities for, making charts or reaching out and getting gigs. Like, there's other stuff that you can do besides just showing up and playing bass that add value to a group and make you harder to replace. Ultimately, I'm just not worried about any of this stuff, because if I'm getting replaced, then I deserve to get replaced. Unless what I'm bringing to a band or a production or a show or what have you is wholly unique, then I'm not really doing my job as an artist, as a bass player. If I can be replaced by AI, then that is a sign to me that I need to do more. Here's the other truth about AI. It sucks right now. Like, it's not that good. So if you're getting replaced by a shitty AI, I think you deserve to get replaced by a shitty AI. Anyway, so that's what I think. Become irreplaceable. Focus just as much on your performance, on your stage presence, as you do on your playing, because performance is a visual medium. It's not just in your ears, it's in the whole thing. People are going to shows not to listen, but to watch. Like, it's this fully sensory sort of experience, and if you're not doing all of those bits, then you're not a fun band to watch. In fact, I've been doing a lot of video work for other bands where I produce social media content for them. And the thing that I'm finding is that a lot of bands are really good to listen to and not that fun to watch. And if you're not that fun to watch, then why would you even have people up on stage, right? There's this trend in the industry of solo artists just like hiring a backing band. And I think that you're going to see even less of that, because why would you have a backing band that's not fun to watch when you could put everybody in the backing track and then hire some dancers? Like, dancers are way more visually interesting to watch, and because everything is perfect in your backing track, you're not losing anything because of not having musicians. So yeah, like, after I'm talking all this stuff out, like, I just don't think I'm worried about this trend at all. I don't have any reason to feel threatened by that, because I know that I am irreplaceable, and if I am replaced, then I need to just try harder or do something different or better. And that's my message to you. Be the best bass player you can, learn other skills that can add value to a production or to a band, and then you'll never have to worry about this stuff. Anyway, I would love to hear what you guys think. Let's keep this conversation going down in the comments and whatnot. Happy 2025. 2024 kind of sucked. Am I right, guys? Sucked for me anyway. Hoping this one's a little bit better. Anyway, we'll catch you guys later. MP out!